Hey guys, and welcome to an Energetic Arts live webinar. Um, just let me know when you're available. If you have any questions in the chat feed, send them through. And just let me know that the sound is working and you're getting everything coming through just the way it should be. So just let me know in the... can't hear me. All right, let's see. Let's get rid of these. Okay, how's that? Can you hear me now? Do we have everything working the way it should? How are we going there? Got sound now? So can you hear me, or are we still have a problem? How are we going? We good to go? Okay, good. All right, cool. So today's topic is observing it done and escalating privileges. And so the idea here is that we're going to keep going along with different ideas on how to manifest things. And we're going to still come from that perspective that whatever we're wanting to create, whatever we're trying to manifest, as a potential already exists. Every time you have a thought about what you want, or even, you run into a contrasting experience that allows you to clarify what you're not wanting, automatically the brain will start to, configure some kind of energetic code to give you some kind of structure of what you're wanting to move towards. And so in a potential thought form, at least, it's already there. It's already created. And grounding it into your reality is, where the manifestation, or what we believe is manifesting, takes place. But the thought, when you have the desired thought, that it's already there. Okay. So some things we can do really easily. Some things, when we want to manifest, they're so easy we don't even think about them. It's sort of so conditioned into our mind that we just expect it to turn up. And other things, we have trouble aligning with and believing in and accepting. And so this is when we run into the idea that perhaps we're not actually manifesting this, or we can't manifest. And so we run up against doubt and all these sorts of things. But you have to understand that even these thoughts of doubt are manifestations of believing that you're doubting being able to do something. And so this is, there's this gap here, or what is perceived to be a gap. And so when we're when we're getting into the idea of escalating privileges, sometimes it's really useful just to find an access point somewhere and start to build up momentum from that access point. And so, if we're looking at things like computers and gaining access to a computer, obviously, at to escalate the privilege all the way up, we want what they call administrative access, which means you can access any file, any program, you can make any changes you want, you can create new programs, download new programs, do whatever you want within that system, and then connect to other systems potentially. And so this is the main point of today's talk and training session, is to be able to find these little access points that are really easily to access, really accessible to us. They don't require any belief, they're just already there, they're already available to us. And then to start building on those little things and start to escalate those privileges and open up your access to more and more of your mind and your potential created reality that's already waiting for you in this multi-dimensional potential universe. So I'm going to use all sorts of different terminology now. I'm just going to say the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not going to sort of try and keep it in the same language, because to use the metaphor of the martial arts metaphor that I've been using several times, is that, I don't want to get caught up in particular styles or ways of thinking or doing or particular movements, because what we're doing essentially, to continue with the metaphor, is we're learning how to deal with real life situations. And so sometimes sticking to your style or sticking to your methodology is the very thing that's going to get you into trouble. So we just want to move in and out of things as simply and easily as we can, and just use what's the most simple and appropriate movement, thought, feeling at the time to get to where we want to go, or where we think we want to be. And so one of the most useful things that I've been using myself and studying a lot more on, so I can potentially articulate it better to others, is this thought of this awareness, actually, that everything that you're trying to do potentially already exists. And that's because it's all arising from this vacuum, or this void of space, or the thing that gives rise to space, contains space, holds space, and everything from there is downstream from that. And so from there, it gives us this mindset that root access is always available. And not only is it always available, but you've already connected to it, and you already have access to it. The problem is, though, is that we get caught up in all these little thought forms and belief systems and doctrines and dogmas and styles and attitudes and opinions and all those sorts of things, which are all downstream from that root access. And so we get caught up in there, and then from there, it's making a lateral move is not so easy. And so there's all sorts of interesting things that have come out recently about the structure of the information of reality shifting into this hexagonal shape, or this octagonal shape, where you've probably seen it everywhere. It's like it's in tiles, it's in billboards, it looks really cool on computer graphics that you see on social media, and and it's like this honeycomb pattern that when they're all stacked together, and if they were like a three-dimensional structure, that you could potentially move from one point in the grid to any other point in the grid, and you'd be able to access many vectors and pathways. And so this is really this is a really useful idea to have it in your back pocket, to start to lead in towards where you're at in terms of the mindset that you may be limited by, which you've created from your past and your conditioning and all that sort of stuff, and the idea that all potentials exist. And so moving back through all the way back to that nothingness, that emptiness, which contains everything, is a really good first step. And so, you know, when we're doing meditating and things like that, and relaxing our body, and we're withdrawing all of those thought forms, all of those habits, all of that momentum of energy that's vibrating and moving in a particular direction, we bring it to a standstill, or to a 0 point. And then from that 0 point in the present moment of now, then we can step off into anything. So what we're going to do today is, like we do pretty much every week, is we're going to go into an altered state. We're going to train ourselves to go deeper and deeper into these altered states, where we let go of all these preconceived ideas and thoughts and strategies, basically, to get from where we think we are into a place that's where we're not, and hopefully we can create something. And so instead of doing it that way, which is the traditional idea, because even as I say this, you know, we still trying to synthesize it through the point that we're orientated from, which is the hurdle in itself, maybe, is stopping the process of manifestation. And so we're going to bring it all the way back and come into a really relaxed state. And to use a buzzword, is getting to a place of acceptance, where you're not in a place where you don't want to be to try and get to somewhere else. You're where you are now, and who you're being now, and everything that's led up to this moment now is exactly your perfect manifestation of your highest, you know, ideal. And this is the beginning and the end point, the jump point and the destination, all in the same, to be able to go, like in that honeycomb pattern, into any direction that you want. And this is the other thing, is that this moment, this present moment of now, which is another thing that's got a lot of meaning attached to it. This is your place of power, okay, in terms of when you own where you are and you accept it wholeheartedly, fully, honestly, then it's a lot easier to go from here to wherever else, rather than in your mind you're already, you know, 10 steps behind, having to fix things before you can even start moving. So I obviously I do a lot of study myself, and what I hear a lot come up, a lot of things that come up with other speakers and people asking them questions, is that the jump point and the beginning of the movement towards what they want is always available, but most people lead with this story, you know, oh, this is my past, and this is what happened to me, and this is my limitation, and this is what I'm struggling with, and all this is just built up immediately before any movement takes place. And so instead of doing that, in this exercise, we're going to slow everything down, come to a complete standstill into a place of no time, and no movement. And from there, you're just going to let everything settle down. And then this is your point of access. And then from there, we're going to start escalating the access into more and more things. And so another way of looking at this in a tangible effect is, and it's another topic that's coming up in the next couple of weeks, is breath gearing and breath work. Now, there's a lot of stuff on breath work. Most of it is to de-escalate people out of, feelings of anxiety and stress and all that sort of thing. And a lot of the things I've been looking at, especially in LA here, are all about getting people into a state of good feeling, taking them out of stress, and putting them in a state of good feeling. So from there, things they can have sort of a normalized experience, and then build on that. And so we're going to do that sort of thing, but we're going to do it very quickly, and we're going to get skilled at doing this, without needing anyone else, basically. And so the easiest pathway that I've found, and it's so obvious and almost boring, is that when we start to focus on our breathing and just pay attention to breathing, and not try to control the breath, but just relax and become aware of what the body is doing, what kind of pattern it's breathing in, whether it's shallow, deep, all that sort of stuff. And once you get a hold on your breath, or you rest in the body breathing naturally, and you start to tune your body and energy into that, then from there you can start to move deeper into relaxation, and the breath will start to change, and that will have an effect on your body. And then you can start to activate different ideas in the brain, and then from there we can start to navigate into these alternate potentials. And just remember that the breath, unless you're into diving and things like that, is been there through every experience you've ever had. So it's got access to every memory, every thought, every emotion, every movement, every experience, every time frame. Everything you've ever done has had the breath connected to it. So if you can start to access your breathing, and you can lead the breathing consciously, and also surrender into allowing different awareness to come through and start to take over the breathing, then this can lead you into all sorts of different experiences, amazing experiences. And so just to take it one step further, when going back to the martial arts metaphor, and martial arts training is very similar to this type of thing that we're doing here in its approach, at least from my point of view, is that when you're able to, let's say, control the breath, although we're not controlling it, we're getting ahead of it, and we're maybe steering the type of breathing that we're doing, or we're actively assisting in the breathing process. Is that when you work out certain patterns of breathing that are associated to thoughts and feelings and actions, that you can take that kind of breath pattern into different situations, potentially high stress situations, and maintain a nice relaxed state. which keeps the brain open, and all the options available to you, or your faculties are available to you. And not just that, you don't want to just stay in that heightened state. You need to also turn it off, so you can, rest, sleep, take a break, not be always, working and your brain active constantly. I just watched a video on YouTube actually of Elon Musk. In one of his interviews, he was saying how, his mind is constantly working all the time, ideas bouncing around all the time. And it's great that he has that ability, because we have all the things that he's producing and innovations of with the world the way it is. But being him and not being able to turn that off, I think wouldn't be much fun, at least, from time to time. It would almost be like being one of the best marathon runners, and never being able to stop running. So we want to have access to ramp it up, and we want to have access to bring it down still. And so when we're getting into these higher high vibrational states or altered states, or we're letting more energy into our consciousness, expanding consciousness, things like that. Like I've mentioned before, the energy can get really quick. The capacity and the payloads of the information can be really large, and the brain can sort of get overclocked because it's trying to process all this information really, really fast, which is something we want to do and get better at and practice at. But then we also we want to have good breaks, and we want to be able to come to a complete stop and cool the jets from time to time, and allow things to update and repair themselves, and just chill out, And so we want to have access to all these different levels. And so the easiest way to, like I said earlier, is to get access and then start escalating your privileges. Once you get access to all these different points, as many points as you can, and we start off really basically, then you've got many, many options, and then you can start to expand and increase those and lean in past the edge and go into the unknown, which all translates to escalating your privileges all the way back to, that infinite potential of being able to go from wherever you are to wherever you want to go. And I guess ultimately, if you have that ability, then it doesn't really matter where you are or where you're going, because you can either participate in it, or you can not and step out of it completely. So if that all makes sense, then what I will do is I will start to wind us down, and I'll start to highlight some of the basic, ordinary, boring things that happen all the time, each and every day, that you can start to get an access point in, and at least on a very basic level, make a note of, at least in the mind, of where those access points are. And then when you're not meditating and you're not in the webinar session training with me, you can go out and become aware of these points in your day-to-day life, and you can start to play with them and start to stretch and lean in and expand those access areas and start escalating your privileges. And as you do that, more and more things are going to come into your field to reinforce that you're doing that and show you that you're doing that. But then you're going to have a lot more options to be able to do things that previously you weren't able to do, or at least thought that you weren't able to do. All right, so if that makes sense, let's get started. Just start to relax. If you've got blindfolds on, this is good. You want to take a moment to just tune out the external world a little bit. Just allow the day to unwind and unravel. And just pay attention to your breathing. Just rest your awareness on your breath. And make that your primary focus. Just as you would if I had a candle and a flame. It's another technique you can use if you like that sort of thing, where you would just focus on the flickering of the flame, not trying to make it do anything, burn hotter or cooler, go to the left or the right, larger or smaller. You wouldn't do any of that. You just observe it, doing whatever it did, just as you observe your breath. And you just allow it to start to soften and smoothen out. Now the goal isn't to have a soft, smooth breath, but if it did begin to soften and smooth, then that would be a good thing too. And as you're breathing, you may catch yourself trying to coerce your breath into one way or another, but just don't do that. Just breathe and relax and let the body take over the breathing. Breathe as deeply or as shallow as you would like. It can be silent or it can be obvious. Don't worry, there's plenty of air for everybody. You can take as much as you like. And you can exhale as much as you like. And you can do this as often as you like. At whatever pace you like. And however you're breathing, at whatever pace, whatever volume or frequency or depth, this is your first access point. Just observe how it feels to breathe at this level of depth and awareness. Now we're going to take our first escalation. It's a very simple technique, and that is from the state of being that you are now. You take note. You're going And take 3 deep clearing breaths in your own time at your own pace. And once you're done, you're going to realize that something has changed. So do that now. Now just rest, relax, breathe and relax. And just begin to notice the subtle little changes that take place in your body, in your mind, and in your energy. Pay attention to, but don't participate in the thoughts and emotions. Just observe them. Whatever they are. Feel free if you need to move your body and adjust. And just breathe and relax. And just make a mental note of any changes that you've noticed. From the point of access to the point of the first escalation. And so with the second escalation, I want you to focus on a potential where your body, mind, and emotions are aligned in perfect balance and harmony. And you don't even have to believe in it. You just have to know that the potential exists and that somehow you're already connected to that. So just rest your awareness on that idea, that thought, that potential. this is your access point to perfect health and balance. And just suspend any judgments of whether you're there or not. And just accept that you're already connected to it. And while maintaining your focus on your breath, on how relaxed you feel, and how balanced you can be. Pay attention to where you are. And once again, in your own time, in your own way, at your own pace, repeat the first escalation technique of 3 deep breaths while holding your focus on your breathing and your state of well-being. And just let the privilege of that awareness escalate. And breathe, relax, balance. Feel the momentum in the direction of your observation. Keep moving your awareness in the direction of your breathing, relaxing and balancing. And from this access point, let's escalate the privileges just a little bit more. You know, it's been said that in an altered state of consciousness, when the brain changes frequency or goes into a state of trance, which there are many varying degrees of, that the mind can become 25 times more suggestible in a relaxed state than in one that's in a stressful state. And so as you're in a relaxed state now, which would make you 25 times more suggestible on average, a good suggestion to allow in would be for your brain to become highly organized. And to clean up anything that is out of alignment. And the best part about this is that it already knows how to do this. You just need to give it access. And just like a program on a computer that scans the whole system, this highly organized state, like a housekeeper, can go from room to room to all the dark places of the mind and begin to clean up. Remove anything that's not serving. Let go of that baggage and allow yourself to become enlightened. And give up all those outdated, adopted, obsolete beliefs that only act as interruptions Just let them go now and accept the faster, easier route. And if you can, bring your awareness back on itself and realize that a fast route is just another thought form that interrupts you from just being there now. And as you take a deep, cleansing, clearing breath, just allow those thought form limitations to be resolved and to dissolve. And see that all those things that you want to manifest to get you somewhere so you can feel a certain way, so you can be a certain person in a certain place, time, space. And if you bring your awareness back in on itself, to that place within you that all those ideas come from, that they can all just melt away. And instead of trying to get something to get somewhere, to make something happen, you can just be here now, resting, chilling, being right now, accessing it right now. Knowing that it was always underlining everything that you do. Just like your breath and your breathing has always been there with you. In the background of everything that you do. Just continue to allow your breathing, your mind, your emotions, and all the sensations in your body to come into coherence, to match up and align. All those seemingly separate parts of you blending and braiding together into one single thread. And as you rest in your stillness and you allow that energy to pour into your system, nourishing you, filling you up, sustaining you like it always has done for as long as you can remember. And will continue to do so. Can you notice how abundant it is? And how, just like water finding its own level, you can begin to overflow and spill over out beyond your body, out into the space that you're in. Noticing that it's part of everything in you and all around you. And that as you breathe, relax, balance, and allow that abundant energy to fill you and overflow through you. In just the right way, just the right time. Pay attention to just how far out in the space beyond your body, beyond the space of the space, that it is that emptiness that contains all the space. That without it there would be no space. And just feel that as much as you can. And release any thoughts of trying to measure its beginning or its ending. See it flowing into all areas of your life. Into all the categories, to all the times of the day, to all the days of the week. Penetrating all space and time. And notice all the little subtle effects that it has. All those emotions, the loving ones, the hateful ones, the excited ones, the fearful ones, the passionate ones, the boring ones. The inspired ones, the disheartened ones. See all of those things are all contained within this space of no space. It contains all of space. This time of no time. That holds all time. Just allow yourself to become aware of its influence. Notice the vastness, the depth, the subtlety, the genius, its beauty. Become aware that it's always been there. And that it's always had access to everything, which includes you. And ask yourself, is there a potential where my mind can blend with its mind? Can you see that it's already done? So how does that feel? Let me know when you're back. Yeah, well, let's shake it up a little bit. Do things a bit different. Leave that running. Let part of you stay with it. Part of you be back. Float backwards and forwards, in and out. Let it flow, see what it does, see where it goes. How do you feel? Perhaps like you've got one foot in two different worlds. And so now that we've got some access points and you know how to escalate, from time to time throughout your day, throughout your week, the course of the rest of your life, you're going to notice when you're in that state now. And you're going to notice when it feels comfortable and you're in it. And you're going to notice there's points where when the body and mind is aligned and the energy's right, that it's just going to let you through, give you more and more access to more and more things. And it always happens when you're ready. And when you're not ready, you're getting ready to be ready. And so this kind of experience that we've just done is going to open up lots of doors for you. You know, at first they might take you by surprise. You might think that they're a little bit strange. You might call them miracles. But when you're in these states of mind and you're becoming more accustomed to them, it's going to feel more and more normal. So I don't want to interrupt your state by going into questions if you don't have any. I'd rather just leave you in it. Leave you in it and have a little play in there. Let yourself become acclimatized, normalized, adjust. And we'll leave it there and I'll see you next week. Save your questions for the Q&A.